All right. Hello.
Hello.
And welcome.
Yeah, ahoy.
Happy early Halloween here. This is Our Dinner is Done. I'm Sally.
I'm Jimmy.
If you are just joining us for the first time, welcome to our channel. If you are returning, welcome back. Tonight we are going to be making a Cajun-inspired chicken andouille sausage soup. So like a little bit like jambalaya in a way.
In a way,
some of the ingredients, but more of like a soup. It's been kind of rainy and dreary where we are.
All week it's been raining and dreary. Although this week it has rained all like morning, afternoon, well like morning to midday, and then it clears up.
Yeah, today it cleared up a bit.
Today the same, but it rained for a good 24 hours.
Definitely, and it's been like heavy rain too. So
and it was in some parts by us, like up north of us, it snowed.
Mm-hmm. So it's been kind of cold, miserable. Perfect soup weather,
yeah.
And we've been experimenting with soups recently, so we're gonna try to make one tonight with some andouille sausage, some orzo, some chard that we have, and we're gonna get started.
Yeah.
So here we go. First things first, we are going to prep our sausage here. Chicken sausage like this is always pre-cooked, so you're just gonna want to put it into your Dutch oven or into your soup pot and to brown it up. We'll do that first so we get the flavors going in the pot, and then we'll pull it to the side and get the rest of the soup ready to go. I see my mother. Hi, Mom. If I didn't already say hello, I think I said hello. So welcome. So yeah, we have some andouille sausage. I feel like every time we make soup, we've been using like one of these like pre-cooked chicken sausages in different flavors, different varieties.
We did shrimp the one day, but I think it was sausage too.
I think so too, yeah. But they're really tasty, super easy because they cook very quickly. They pack a lot of flavor in them too.
Mm-hmm.
So they're good. Baby seems to agree, right, baby?
For now.
What's that?
I said he agrees for now.
For now, yeah. So these are an andouille sausage. You usually see andouille in things like jambalaya. So this is kind of where we got our inspiration for this dish. But we've used ones that have just like cheese inside, or I think one of the last times we used them in a pasta dish, they had like artichoke.
Yeah, things
something inside
garlic
too.
and artichoke.
Mm-hmm. So we're just going to slice these up nice, and we're going to brown them in the pot.
Yep. So I'm slicing them in half, and then I'm going to dice them from there. So you have, plenty of options with this. So you could do them in the slices, or I could quarter them and dice them. I think I quartered them last time.
You did, and I think that was a nice, good bite size. So
we shall do the same.
You could smell the seasoning in there, like as soon as you cut them open. So these are going to be tasty.
You can see some nice marbling in this, nice bits of fat.
Yeah, there's bits of fat, and then there's also going to be things like the seasoning inside too. It's a little bright.
There
you go.
Got to do the close zoom.
Yeah. So yeah, it says, what does it say is inside? Take a peek. There's chicken, obviously, salt, spices, garlic, onion powder, paprika. So those are the colors that you're seeing in there.
So I've sliced these in half and then in half again, which is quartering. And then I'm just going to slice them up into, I'd say that it's about 1/4 inch thick pieces. Just a rough chop.
And we're just going to use a little bit of olive oil in here, right? So I'll prep that. And as I said, this is just really to brown these up and give them a nice little caramelization on them, give them a nice little color. And then also you're going to get kind of the bits left here in the Dutch oven when we pull them out so that it flavors the base of the soup and the rest of the vegetables that are going to be going in. And these, I think this is the, oh no, we have used these before.
Yes, we used those last time.
This Dietz & Watson brand.
On Amazon. Dietz & Watson, kind of known for their deli meat.
Yeah, for their deli meats.
The delicatessen.
So this looks like it's going to be tasty. And this dish here, it's the first time we're making it, so this is a little bit of an experiment for us. But we
It's
decided,
kind of the most fun.
yeah, and I feel like soups you can really play around with in terms of what you put inside, what you like. So we have some orzo that we had in our pantry that we're going to use. We have some kidney beans. You could use whatever you have on hand. We wanted to use red. If you have white or something like that, you could
It would
certainly
work,
use
but
that
we
at
wanted to
home.
keep that sort of like
Jambalaya
southern
feel.
Louisiana, New Orleans style. So that Cajun
Cajun
got a
seasoning.
little Cajun.
Yeah.
The raging Cajun.
And we're good to go. Okay, so I have this on. It's just gonna spread. Do you want a little more, or that looks like it's good?
No, I think this is good. We just need like a light coating. Maybe a touch more. The sausage has fat in it, so that's gonna sort of take care of itself.
Yeah.
That's good.
There we go.
It's about
Maybe like a
tablespoon and
maybe
a
a
half.
tablespoon.
We'll just let that warm up for a touch before we throw that in. We are gonna make like a light roux in the middle of it. A roux is very traditional in southern like Louisiana style cooking. It just thickens up the sauce. We're just gonna do it. We're not gonna make the roux in the base of the pan. We're gonna make a flour water mixture and add it in just to thicken it up a little bit.
Yeah, we did that the last time we made the soup,
Yeah.
and I think that worked well. So, all right, I think this is heated up to go. We're gonna just put that in to brown up. I'm sure if you wanted to do this again, like with a lot of the meals that we make, you could certainly do this without the sausage and just make like a vegetarian style if you wanted. We don't eat a lot of meat in our house, but we do eat poultry. So we're going to stick with the chicken tonight. We don't really have beef sausage or pork sausage anymore. But we do eat the chicken sausage. And this actually, the chicken sausage is pretty flavorful if you don't eat beef and pork.
Yeah, I feel like actually before we switched off of beef and pork, we had gone to a lot of chicken sausages to begin with.
Well, they're easy. They're easy to cook. They're very quick because they're already pre-cooked. So you're just heating them through, browning them up a little bit in whatever you're going to use them in. I was looking up some recipes earlier in the day too, and I was thinking about, especially when you're making a soup, you don't want to have to like cook a protein separately and then throw it into the soup. You can definitely use a shortcut. For example, if you're going to make like a chicken soup, you could use a rotisserie chicken, and that's already prepared and just shred it up. You could do that without.
That's my mom's actually go-to.
It's so much simpler to do. It's less steps. And this is a soup that's going to come together pretty quick. Again, if you're going to make the soup, you could certainly make it earlier in the day and kind of let it simmer all day. But we're going to make this and eat it tonight. Yep. And it'll be just as good.
Just right.
Oh, my mom asked shrimp. You know what? I was thinking about it. We definitely could have added shrimp in this too. I saw a couple recipes that called for the andouille sausage and the shrimp together. Or you could just do shrimp instead of the sausage. You could do it any way you really wanted, but we had this on hand.
We had a bunch of seafood this week, so.
We had a lot of seafood this week, so we decided to skip the shrimp. But we are adding beans for a little bit, like extra heartiness and a little bit more protein. So this is just kind of cooking through here. Browning up. And he's going to get started on the onions. This is probably about a medium to medium large onion here. Yeah. And he'll just dice up for us real nice and fine. And of course we'll use garlic, which is like the base of everything that we make, onions and garlic. These are starting to brown up nice. And I was thinking about it too, that with this type of dish, instead of using orzo, you could use rice as well.
Oh, absolutely.
But we just had some orzo, and we figured, why not?
Yeah, we bought it purposely for a soup, so you could definitely do rice. I think, jasmine white rice would be very New Orleans, but...
Yeah, white rice, or even maybe like I guess you could use brown, but I feel like it would take It would take a little bit longer to cook with the brown rice. I feel like in soup, the white rice is probably a better choice.
I mean, unless you just make the brown rice separately.
That's true. But we'll just end up tossing the orzo towards the end.
That smells so good.
Doesn't it smell good already? These chicken sausages always kind of smell a little bit like hot dogs to me.
Baby approves. He's going
Yeah.
having a blast in his high chair right now.
Yeah. And he dropped the toy before Meatball's wandering around looking for it. I picked it up already. But he's like, hey, what about me? Where's my toy? Whoa, whoa.
Meatball's hoping that there's some food dropped.
It's so funny. On our Friday streams, the chat is always so quiet. So if anybody has anything to say, you can chime on in. Maybe tell us about your Halloween plans. We don't really have plans for Halloween where we are. We are going to dress up our baby and post his really amazing costume online tomorrow. It's a surprise. We'll put it on our Instagram page. Won't give any hints right now, but it is food related. Here's your toy. Hey, baby. So these are actually, you could hear them kind of like popping away here. They're starting to stick to the bottom of the pan, but in a good way, where those little brown bits are getting stuck, and those will be useful and tasty when we add the vegetables. So I don't want them to completely stick, so that's why I'm stirring frequently, but they are browning up. And they look good.
So I did a nice fine dice on the onion. A little bit extra fine because I want it to really dissolve into the soup.
He likes the idea. And I feel like you could probably, in most soups, you can use you could use celery and carrots and things like that. Today we're just using some onion and some garlic.
Yeah.
But you could always add that in if you want.
We actually do have celery, but
We actually have celery and carrots, but I feel like we have a
We
lot
got
of
enough
stuff
going
going
in.
on. Yeah.
and I want to save. I bought some peanut butter today, so I want to save that celery for peanut butter. Hey,
Yeah,
it's
he
gonna be
sounds
fun.
Yeah. He sounds excited. All right, so this is looking good. I'm going to give this just a little bit more time to brown up. I'm going to increase the heat just a little bit. It's on medium right now, so I'm going to put it on like medium-high just to brown this up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, what's going on, baby? You having fun? He wants to get in on the action here. As I was saying before, once this browns up, the sausage, we'll pull it. We're going to plate it separately over to the side, and then we'll start cooking our onions because they're going to take the most time. But we're going to be using Swiss chard in this tonight. If you have a different green, you could probably use something like that, like a kale or something to replace that. But we happen to really like chard. I like Swiss chard because it's not very bitter.
No.
And a lot of greens tend to be bitter. But these are really pretty. These are red. These are red chard. And they have like a red stem.
What are you gonna say? You just got these on Wednesday.
I know. You know what? They looked really good this morning. And when I opened the fridge this afternoon, they looked a little bit sad. But it's okay since they're going in the soup. They'll be fine. And I actually happen to love the stems.
Yes.
Because they have like a nice crunch to them. And they have a nice bite.
They almost act like the celery would.
Yeah, that's true. It kind of replaces the celery. They have a very similar consistency. Totally different flavor, but they have the same type of chew that you would get out of celery. All right. These are looking like pretty good now. Oh, what was that? Oh, one of the toys. We have him strapped in his high chair, and he's got some toys that are strapped to him, but some of them still made their way to the floor. What do you think of this? brown it up a little bit more, so we're good to go.
I think we're just about good.
Yeah, I think we're good too. So we're going to take that out. We're going to plate that. And then we'll be able to deglaze the bottom of the pan because there's going to be these little juicy brown bits from the chicken that will add flavor to everything else. And you're going to use a little wine to do that?
I am.
Red or white?
Red.
We're going to use some red. Excellent. Whoa! You like that idea.
You could really use either wine.
Yeah,
Since we're using a tomato sauce in this, I'm going to use a red, but whatever you have on hand, it's just going to add another layer of flavor.
You want to throw that. You want Mommy to pick it up. He thinks it's funny.
So here is our sausage.
Oh,
Nice
and
little
brown.
bits. Nice and brown. Ready to rock. He's ready to throw that down. Wine, we just have, I mean, you can get whatever red you prefer. In this case, we have an Italian Rosso, one of our favorite sort of table wines. This is in IGP. We love our Italian reds.
Yep.
So I'm going to turn it up to high heat. And I'm going to pour my wine right in.
You're going to want that little sizzle. You're going to want it really hot so that it can cook off the alcohol.
And I added, I don't know, probably an eighth of a cup.
Yeah, it wasn't
An eighth
that much.
to a quarter of a cup. And what I'm going to want to do immediately is to scrape off the little bits of sausage from the bottom. And it's going to cook down, and it's going to reduce right away. So even if you went a little over on the amount of wine that you added, that's totally fine. It's going to reduce very quickly.
Yeah. Yum, yum, yum.
And you can smell the wine right away mixing with the sausage, and it this one's very dark fruit, dark cherry. What are you getting?
Oh, I definitely smell the cherry.
Yeah, I'd say more cherry than anything else, which is going to be a nice flavor to this. Any dark fruit. And this is cooking down really fast. The pan is nice and hot. So actually,
Yeah, the Dutch oven gets hot very
and
quickly.
it holds the heat evenly. That's the beauty of the Dutch oven.
Mm-hmm.
So that cooked down beautifully fast. So I'm actually, where's the olive oil?
Here it is. Yep. And I'm also going to get you some butter.
Cool. So I'm just going to add a touch more olive oil before I throw in my onions. Just get this nice little mix together. I just want to make sure I have enough liquid, which I do. I also want to be able to coat these onions in the wine. I've never used this. I think this is from Mark. But we were wanting a little
we were
scoop.
talking about a scoop. That works pretty well. Except it's sharp, right?
This is very sharp.
So you
I
have to
believe
be
it's actually a pizza cutter.
Yeah, it's pizza cutter, so you got to be careful.
I think it's made to like rock and chop.
Yeah. But it works.
Yeah.
Just, we don't need another mandolin experience.
No, we definitely do not. Speaking of mandolin, the Mandalorian, I believe, starts tonight.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah. Can you give that a stir for me?
Yes, I will. So this red wine is going to change the color of the onions. They're going to get a little bit of like this red-purple hue to them too as they cook. And we're going to let these kind of mellow out a little bit in here and start to become translucent. Yes, we're going to do some salt and pepper. We always like to layer the flavors on there. So we'll do that. And we're going to add garlic as well, but we'll wait to do that until these start to cook through a bit because they have different cooking times, as we often say.
Mm-hmm. Actually, since we're doing the shard with the stems, I'm actually going to add the stems.
Yes, the stems are going to take a while to cook.
A bit longer to cook.
So we'll just add those in. And we'll add a little bit more oil when we do that.
Mm-hmm. So
Actually, we'll add the butter too because we like to add a little bit of butter as well when we cook the onions. Just gives them a nice little flavor.
So with the stems, I'm just going to cut off the very ends, just because that's where it was in contact with the ground. They're kind of like dead.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And little bits that are sad.
Yeah, I don't know how that happen in just like one day.
Yeah.
They looked really great this morning.
Leafy greens are very temperamental.
They are. Maybe the temperature of the fridge was just not quite right.
So these actually look like little bits of celery.
They do.
They're just red.
They're just red.
So
And again, the flavor doesn't taste like celery. They just look like celery. But I really like the flavor.
Yeah. So do I. And it adds
They're
another
definitely
layer
more
of
mild.
More mild for children.
Mm-hmm. Those look good. These onions look good and they smell good.
So I just dice them off, and I'm just going to add a little bit of a rough chop to these to cut them up a little bit finer.
Perfect.
Because we don't want, you want everything to kind of liquefy in a soup. You do want to have different layers of texture, which this will definitely add.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to have the beans, we're going to have the pasta, so I really want the onions and these shard stems to cook down. And they're going to make that base of our soup.
Of the soup. Perfect. Yep. They're good to go. And it's so pretty.
Yeah, having the contrast in color.
Holiday. It looks like a holiday meal in here right now because you have a little bit of like this red, a little bit of green, a little white. Looks like the Christmas holidays. Okay, and I'm going to add just a touch more olive oil. And then also just a little bit of butter.
Butter makes it better.
Not a ton of butter. And we actually don't even use like a full butter. We use this Land O'Lakes like butter with olive oil and sea salt, so it's not as thick as butter would be. I'm just going to put a little spoonful in there and let those cook through. He'll start cutting up the garlic, and also too, we're gonna want to rinse the beans before we add those two to get that like liquid that comes in the can. We don't want that in the soup. So you're gonna want to rinse them and drain them before you put them in. But give this a good stir. These are already starting to cook down pretty quickly too because they were so finely chopped. These onions,
which is great.
So even faster. Faster cook time. So really, that's the only thing that like has to be cooked. These and I guess the pasta as well, but that would cook anyway. Mm-hmm. You know, it's gonna cook in the liquids anyway, and we'll do that towards the end. I don't see Babs in the chat. Is Babs in here? Say hello if you are. Normally you say hi when you enter.
So the garlic I just pressed to break off the skin. I'm going to do a rough chop with this because it's going into a soup.
Yeah, we have to try that trick that we saw the other day that my mom said.
That's what we need.
You need like a whole
That's
head.
like a mashed potato day.
Yeah, for the holidays. And we make a really nice garlic mashed potato.
That's you. You make it nice. You taught me the roast and garlic trick.
Yeah.
That's all you.
That's true, but we do it together.
He's
like, I want to try mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
You'll definitely be able to have those.
When do you have potatoes? Just plain potatoes.
I'm not sure. Well, he's eating sweet potatoes already, so probably not that far off. Not sure.
Yeah. Really. So for the garlic, I'm just going to cut off the stems. How did I get it to work last time?
You put it really close before.
I'm touching the camera.
There you go.
There you go. So you have the stem end. Not the best shot. Not the most in focus, but I'm just going to cut that little stem off. Because that's inedible. And then with whatever remains, I'm just going to do a rough chop on it, which means you're just going to chop the heck out of it without really a rhyme or reason. I'm not as worried about it being these perfect slices because it's kind of nice. Well, we think it's nice when you get just a nice hunk of garlic in a soup because it's going to cook down in the soup itself once we add the rest of the liquid.
Yeah. Hi, Anastasia. Welcome. We can always count on you to liven up the chat. So thank you for that. And she said she's going to have soup for dinner tonight because of this. Good.
Perfect day for it.
Whoa. That was a loud toy. There you go. There you go, baby.
Can you tell the funny story that my mom thought that was a full-size toy and it ended up...
Yes. So I'm sure if anybody is around our age in this chat tonight and watching, you may be familiar.
That's a timeless classic.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a toy that's been around for a long time. But you see this little rattle that we have here. It's like the classic toy that a lot of kids grew up with. You would have it that was big that you could push around the room. It was like a little vacuum cleaner, and then it has little beads inside that would make noise as you would move back and forth. So my mother-in-law, Jimmy's mom, gifted the baby with one of these. But when she ordered it online, she thought she was getting the full-size one, and this is a little small rattle that showed up instead. So he loves it. It's a great toy, but it's just a funny story. And it leads us to another funny story. She purchased a 4-foot giraffe doll on Facebook, and when it arrived, he's upset. It was only 14 inches. Oh.
So I just tossed the garlic in there. Can I have the spoon?
Yes.
Just tossed the garlic in there, and then I added about a tablespoon of crushed red pepper. Again, based on how much spice you like, you could add more or less. You could even add jalapenos, which we actually have left from the garden. But those I'm not going to put in for Sally's sake. I could always add those and top my soup with that. So I've added that in. I'm going to let this garlic cook down for a little bit. And now I'm going to toss in a little bit of my Cajun seasoning to let this all simmer together. I'm going to add Cajun throughout. So I just added it, just about a teaspoon right now. Just to let this all dance around together. Oh my gosh. Cajun
Oh, this smells great. Hi on the rocks. Okay. Now I'm going to hold it.
Fussy what? Alright, so give everyone a quick peek at what we got going on here. I'm going to...
Careful, yeah.
Alright, so now we have our onions, we have our Swiss chard, our garlic, crushed red pepper, and Cajun seasoning. And that's all that dancing together. Yeah, I guess he's gonna come out. So we're going to let this just simmer down for another minute or so. And then we're going to start adding our liquids. So while I let that simmer for a minute, I'm going to get our beans ready. So we have a can of red kidney beans. And as Sally said before, we are going to rinse these. Just get rid of some of the starch. And you'll notice that beans, when they first come out, they're almost like gelatinous inside. Tell by the jiggle. So just throw them into a colander and run water over them.
All right, I have returned. Oh man, that smells so good right now. Once you started layering in the seasonings here, it smells great.
So I don't want it to burn, so I'm going to toss our chicken stock in. So this is, it's going to be 4 cups, right? 32 ounces, 16 ounces per cup. No, 8 ounces per cup.
We used 4 cups
8,
the last
16,
time.
24, 32. 4 cups.
Yeah.
No, it's just working on the math.
Yeah. So we're using low sodium stock here. I was looking at some other, like I said, this is the first time we're making this. So I was looking at some other recipes to kind of get some, guidance on what to do. And most of them, with this andouille sausage and the Cajun seasonings, said to use low sodium stock. I guess because it's just easier to control the salt level. So we decided to do that. We're going to use the low sodium, and you could always add salt in if you need to, but you can't take that salt out.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit easier to do that. And we also did low sodium tomato sauce as well. Looks like.
Oh yeah, it was just because it was on sale.
Mm.
It was 4 cans for $2.
Oh, I just realized this one has basil.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
because it was that was again 4 cans for $2.
Cool.
So yeah, so this has basil in it, which
Which is that'll be fine.
it's
It's a very
neither here nor
mild.
there.
Yeah, it's a very mild flavor in it anyway. And basil's basil.
basil. You know Basil? You know my friend Basil?
Little man is in a costume today too. He's wearing a little outfit today that was a gift from his great aunt and uncle, and he's a little skeleton.
I actually went to professional development this week, and I thought the guy's name was Basil because it's spelled Basil, but he goes by Basil.
Skeleton baby. Skeleton baby. This glows in the dark too. Pretty cool.
It does. We turned off the ring light here, so.
Yeah.
All right, so we got our chicken stock in here. We got our can of crushed tomatoes. We go with the crushed tomatoes just because it's a little bit thicker than a tomato sauce. The tomato sauce is just a little.
Watery.
It could work. I think it's too watery and too thin. The crushed tomatoes add a little bit more body. We use plum tomatoes a lot. I love those.
Mm-hmm.
For this, since we have in the sausage and the beans and the Swiss chard, I thought that would be a little bit too much. So I'm going to get this going. And now I'm going to turn up the heat to medium-high. And now we're going to get New Orleans on this, and we're going to make a flour water roux. I did add all this, so I'm going to add a little salt and pepper to taste. Probably a touch more Cajun, just a touch. But I'll give it a little taste first. And as Sally said, we got to watch the salt, so I'll go a little light on that. Stir.
All right. So, put pan now. So he's just chilling there until he starts to fry again.
We got about 45 seconds.
Yeah. Gonna give that a little taste.
Good, it's actually pretty mild. It's not too salty at all.
Okay. Or not at all. Yeah, so we can start adding some salt. But like we said, we didn't want it to be overly salty because that chicken sausage has some salt in it. And that Cajun seasoning is probably has a little bit of saltiness to it too. That Cajun seasoning is yum.
Cajun seasoning does have actually more salt than I thought it would.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised to read that in a lot of the recipes that I was
I'm gonna add just a
looking
salt
at
and
online.
add a little more pepper.
Mm-hmm. And you used crushed red pepper as well.
I did, yeah.
I think I missed that. I was out of the room. Yeah, so this is going to be good. We're going to kind of let this heat through, cook up a little bit, and then
I'm gonna do the roux mix. Next.
Yes.
And
And
then we'll be able to add the roux.
yeah, that'll be perfect. And then we can then we'll start adding some of the other ingredients in as this heats up. The Dutch oven gets hot quickly, so we're just going to let this kind of boil up a little bit. And he's going to use some flour and water. Traditionally, when you make a roux, you would do it in the pan or the pot. But he's just going to
with butter.
with butter and everything too.
But this is a quick roux, a good way to thicken. So you're gonna do equal parts. So I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons. Should be 1.
I think the last time you did 1 and you said you wanted to do 2
Yeah.
instead.
So I'm gonna do 2. So we're going to do equal parts flour to water. So 2 tablespoons of flour. 2 tablespoons of water. And now I'm just going to give this a little mix with a fork.
Get
And
the
we're going to
clumps
end
out.
up with this little paste. It's almost like doughy paste.
Yep, and it's just going to thicken everything up just a bit, and you don't want that to be chunky. You want that to be
You don't want the
smooth.
lumps. So if I had just put the flour into the soup, I would have ended up with lumps. But by mixing lukewarm to cool water, or say cool to room temperature water, I'm able to get the lumps out of this flour. And it turns into this pasty, almost like a batter consistency. So this is raw flour. So when I'm putting this in, Sally just turned this up to high heat because since it's a raw batter, I want to cook the flour off. Otherwise, it's going to have almost a gritty, grainy
Yeah, and you
taste
don't want
to
that.
it. So as I add this thickener, we just want to bring it up to a boil
Mhm.
and then reduce down to a simmer.
And then we can start adding the other ingredients.
Mind stirring that
Yep.
in for me?
I'm gonna stir that. Get that incorporated into the stock here. This is smelling really wonderful right now. Looking forward to this. Like, as we were saying, if you join us a little bit later in the stream, it's been kind of gloomy and rainy where we've been this last week. So it is perfect soup weather. And it's just that time of the year anyway, I feel like. I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh, we could be creative and make some sort of Halloween dish. But I really just wanted soup.
I don't know what a Halloween dish would be.
I'm not sure. I feel like you could be really festive with more of like desserts, but we're not bakers
Or
here.
we make stuff, like I saw a recipe with like, you cut up sausages to make them look like bloody fingers.
Oh, I saw that today too. Yeah,
It was fun advertising.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You know, I want our food to look good.
I get the like kind of creep factor. Maybe if you have like,
You're gonna be like
Kids.
little kids in the party.
maybe not little kids, but
I actually saw a story today where I forget where it was. I don't even know if it was in this country or not. But this person decorated their house. It was
with
so gruesome.
the cops got called
The
on
cops got
multiple
called
times.
multiple times. He had like a safe fall onto like a mannequin's head and there was blood splatter everywhere. It was horrible. I'm thinking to myself, like, I understand, you know, the horror factor and the gore factor for Halloween, but there are probably children in your community, and that
We
would just
saw
be
a
a
couple
little
of years
much.
ago. There was one house that had a big tree in front of its house that sausage was good, and it's got heat. And they had like dead bodies hanging from a tree, like fake dead
Oh.
bodies. And it was in the same block as a
At
school, an elementary school.
Yeah,
So little kids were walking by that all day, seeing dead bodies.
it's just a little much.
Like, there's a place for that. Like, if you want to go to a haunted house, I think that's awesome. Like that, well, not awesome, but it's entertaining. We've been to we went to the one.
Yeah, we went to one.
The Brightness Island 2 years ago.
Yeah, we went to Brightness Island 2 years ago, and I will admit I'm a super scaredy cat. I don't like horror movies unless they're like really campy and silly. Like I love the Scream movies; those are fine. But like I don't really like gory, scary stuff. So we did go to a haunted house together, and I was like latched onto him the whole time, just screaming, screaming like a little school.
I paid extra. Like I think you paid like $10 extra, and you skipped the line. Otherwise, it would have been like an hour and a half line.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we skipped the line, an hour and a half line. We waited.
We waited like 15 minutes or something.
10,
maybe.
15 minutes. And we went in. You go in a smaller pair. So we went in with this
With
this
another
couple, these two
yeah.
guys, and they were hilarious. They were very much into horror, and
They made it less scary.
They made it
because
less
were, like,
scary because
making
they were
jokes
so
and-
silly,
Mhm.
which was kind
I
of disarming
needed
in a
it,
good
yeah.
way. Yeah.
I needed that.
So while this is coming up to a boil, I'm just going to slice up my Swiss chard to get it ready. Because it's going to need a little bit of time to cook, not too much. So I'm just slicing this long ways towards the bottom where it's not too leafy. And then I'm just going to come across the opposite way just because you don't want to have too big of bits of greens.
Yeah, you don't want
and
too
the
big
rest
of it.
I'm gonna roll it. This is my favorite technique. So roll, slice down the middle, and then slice across.
And this is boiling up really nicely now. So I'm just going to
These
give
nice
it
bits that are
another
gonna cook down.
stir. And then I'm going to bring down the heat on this too now.
Yeah, once
because
to a
it's
boil,
boiling.
reduce down to a simmer.
Perfect. Yeah, right, Leah. She said she misses haunted houses. I've seen like some places are still open. I guess like the outdoor,
Outdoor
Like-
ones, or they're doing reduced
like the corn
occupancy.
mazes.
But like,
you know.
yeah, there's in like upstate New York, where's the
Like
Headless
Sleepy-
Horseman?
Sleepy
Sleepy
Hollow.
Hollow. That's a haunted hayride, so that would make sense. You just reduce the amount of people
Mm-hmm.
that could enter, and that would still work. Oh my gosh!
Crawl a little bit?
He's not a happy boy. All right, so
I just want to be holding just like this.
hi, what's up, our little skeleton? So this has come
He likes
up to
to
a
watch.
boil, reduced down to a simmer. We're gonna need to let this simmer for a little bit before I add any other ingredients, just to cook off that roux. I'm gonna give it a little taste now.
Yeah, so this is the point too. If you want to add some more seasonings, if you give it a taste and you go, this is where I want more salt, or this is where I want more pepper or Cajun, you can do that.
Oh, is that anything? It's got a lot of heat on the back. Right?
Well, you put a little bit of the crushed red.
Careful, it's hot.
This is gonna be good. Ooh, really good. And it is salty, so using that low sodium was important. Because I think it would have been too salty otherwise. Yeah, I've never been to Sleepy Hollow.
We tried to go that one year.
Oh my gosh, that's when we first started dating. That's a cute story. We can tell that story. So, when we first started dating, we had been together. We started dating at the end of September. So,
A couple weeks.
yeah, so we've been dating a couple of weeks, and Jimmy decided to get us tickets to go on a haunted hayride and a haunted house. I think it was just a haunted hayride, right?
Yeah, it was Sleepy Hollow, the haunted hayride.
Yeah. So he got us tickets to go, and we decided to go out to eat first because obviously that was going to be later in the evening. So we decided to go to eat dinner first, and then we were going to take the drive up.
It took a while to get our table.
Yeah, it took a while to get our table. It took a while to get our food, and we were just chatting away. And I stop and look at him, and I say, I think we have to get going soon because we're gonna be late.
And I was like, oh no, we needed to leave about 45 minutes to an hour ago. We're just not going. Because we were hanging out, we were having a good time, and I didn't want to rush. Now we gotta rush up there, at night. So I was like, let's just hang out and enjoy ourselves. It worked out.
And it worked out, and we're together now 6 years.
We went to one other haunted house.
Yeah. Yeah, but we've been
Which
together.
is enough for you.
Yeah, we just made our 6-year anniversary recently.
Oh.
And our wedding anniversary is also coming up soon too.
Yeah.
And that is coming on 3 years. So.
Yeah, what are you doing? What is she thinking?
I don't know. Baby likes that though, right? Yeah, he likes when we give a smooch. He's just starting to give kisses now too.
He does. I'm gonna put the orzo in now.
Yeah, because that's
What
gonna
does it
take
say?
about 8 to 10 minutes, I would say, to cook through.
So that's it?
Yeah. And you
Okay.
already put the beans in, or
No,
not?
I didn't.
I would put the beans in as well to kind of let them soften up.
And then the shard and the sausage we're gonna add at the end.
We'll add that towards the later part. Yeah. What do you want? Do you want to go crawl? He's in the mood to crawl around, so I'm gonna put him down.
Ooh, this is gonna be good. All right, so got most of our ingredients in here. We're just gonna bring this up a little bit to about medium heat to let this all cook off. And although you normally cook a pasta in boiling water, cooking it in the sauce is gonna allow it to, absorb some of this wonderful deliciousness. And I'm gonna bring this over to the camera.
Yeah, and Anastasia, you were asking if we like to have a little bit of heat to give it a little bit of a kick. Yes. We generally like to add a little bit of heat to whatever we're eating. Jimmy more so than
And a lot
me.
of bit of heat. Yeah.
So he usually, in his own dish, he'll kind of add more onto his own. He's probably going to throw some jalapenos on his when we serve this, but we use fresh red pepper in quite a bit of our recipes. Looks good?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just wants to crawl around and
Yeah.
make noise. He's at that stage now. He's exploring, but he also wants to be held. Then when he's held, he wants to be put down. So I think he's just excited for Halloween tomorrow. All right, so this is good. Give this a nice stir again. The orzo's not going to take a ton of time to cook through because they're so little. They look, if you've never had orzo before, it's a small pasta that looks basically like a grain of rice.
Mm-hmm.
You see it in a lot of like Greek cooking, Mediterranean cooking.
Yeah.
Like you might have ever had like a lemon orzo soup,
Mm-hmm.
which is so good.
Or orzo, a lot of times in like a cold, like pasta salad type of dish.
Right, with some like cheese, tomatoes. What's the baby doing? He's crawling over to Ricky. Crawling to Ricky. Checking on his puppy sister. Yeah. You checking out Ricky? His best friend.
Fussy butt.
I think he's actually a little hungry.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to eat before.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Alright, so let's see. We're just kind of chilling now.
Yeah, now we're just gonna kind of to wait it out a
I mean,
little bit.
everyone's still on cut baby.
I may step away for a moment to try to feed him, but I will take my phone and man the chat while you cook. Is that a good idea?
Sure. Or unless you want me to just man the chat.
No, I'm gonna try to feed him. Oh yeah, Orzo and feta. Good combo.
Ooh, this is coming up to a nice simmer right now. Smells wonderful. Our orzo and our beans have been in there for about 4 minutes. So we're about halfway to being fully cooked. This is thickening up very nicely as well. I'm going to want to keep stirring it because I don't want the sauce to burn, which is going to happen when the ingredients, the onion, the beans, the orzo, stick to the bottom. So as I'm using, you could use any wooden spoon. I prefer to like this bamboo sets. They always come together, whichever one you prefer, but I'm just scraping along the bottom to make sure that nothing sticks. Are you allowed to talk when you're feeding him, or is he getting fussy?
I don't know. Mark said, "Are you a roadie?"
A roadie?
You look like a roadie.
Oh, I look like a roadie. Yeah, I need to like be carrying speakers or something. It's got pirates on it. That's why I'm wearing it. It's tiny. It's actually for a dog. That's why. It's for a dog snack. And I got a big old dome, so I'm not surprised. I keep snacking on the sausage. I'm gonna call myself out. You know what? The sausage has a lot of heat to it.
Yeah, that's gonna be spicy.
Again, every time it starts to come up to a bubbling simmer, I don't know if you could hear it, but it started to bubble. I want to make sure I come around and stir it. So you're gonna need to really man the sauce here. I believe it's in Goodfellas when they, make sure you don't let the sauce burn. Hey, Mikey, keep stirring the sauce. So you do. You have to keep stirring the sauce. You don't want it to burn. This is thickening up like beautifully. So once we add the Swiss chard and the sausage, it might even be too much chard, but it's already cut. It's going in. It's just going to add a nice extra layer of flavor. We like to add a leafy green into a soup. Good way to get your greens in. And it also is going to add a nice contrast in color. Yeah, but this is going to be nice and hearty. This is the perfect cold, rainy day soup. You know what else you need when you're having soup? Make a loaf of bread. This is from Brooklyn Bread. Quality bread products baked in Brooklyn. Pane di scassa, old fashioned. So bread from the home, right? Pane.
Pan, bread, yeah.
Pan. Well, pan in Espanol is bread. So pane with an E. Bread of the house bread. So we've been getting this one recently. It's quite tasty. It's nice bread. It's a wheat. It's just got a nice body to it. You could whack somebody in the head with this just to kind of, tell them stay in line but not hurt them. Right now we're on about 7 minutes on this. I'm going to actually bring it down just a bit because it's really steaming up. And I am going to take a taste and see how this orzo is cooking up. I do want to be careful not to overcook the orzo. So it should be very close to being there. I don't want it to be totally mushy. I don't want it to have too much of a bite.
Yeah, it's like about 8 minutes for al dente.
We are just about there. We're just about there, so I'm going to add the Swiss chard. Because by the time it's done cooking, we will be adding al dente. Since I'm adding more ingredients, I'm going to touch of cracked pepper, just a touch, because it's already got a good amount of heat. And I'm going to add a touch of salt and a little bit of olive oil, just because why not? Stir this in. We are getting party. Ooh, this looks lovely. Who are we saving soup for? Oh, Sally Senior will save you some soup. Although this is getting so hearty right now, it's actually going to be more stew-like almost. It really is going to have like this jambalaya consistency.
It will, I think.
Not in a bad way by any means, but it is going to be quite thick and lovely. Because now that we have a lot of ingredients in it, they're all kind of soaking up that sauce. This would be a great dish if you're having a bunch of people over. You could this could be your entree. Very seafood stew. It's an entree. Where's that from? What did she have me watch the other day? What is the birdcage? The birdcage. Hank Azaria. When you say it's seafood soup, it's a seafood stew. It's an entree. Yeah, this is looking outstanding. The way that the orzo has soaked up the liquid in there, along with the beans and now the Swiss chard. So all that in, I'm going to add in our sausage. Mix that in. Again, the sausage is already cooked. Right now we're just warming that up. Ooh. This is going to be a nice meal.
All right. And I'm back. And I'm back. Oh yeah, it's definitely less soupy now, but I think it's going to be really, really pretty. No, I don't think so at all. I think this looks great. And if you wanted it to be a little bit soupier, you could add more stock.
You could absolutely add more stock at this point, and that would loosen it up a little bit. We did make that roux. I would prefer it to be a little bit thicker than soup.
I prefer soups that are thicker. I've said that before on the channel. That's just the style that I like. So I'm good with that.
Somebody's eyeballing the
Oh,
bread.
somebody sees the bread. That's right.
So I will save the nice and crunchy. This will be a good heel of the bread for the baby. Oops. Slice up some bread for us. So I do use this tiny little knife because our bread slicing knife has really well-set sharpness. And you want a knife, I don't want to crush the bread when I'm slicing it. Mm-hmm. Oh, this isn't the wheat, but it smells so good. Smell this bread.
Mm.
Oh, I'm just going to smell the bread.
I'm going to smell it and also give it a taste. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, so a nice Italian bread is going to have a nice crisp on the outside and just super soft on the inside. Just like a little pillow.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah, I'm very excited for this.
I think this has been a fun thing about this channel for us because we enjoy cooking and we like sharing our recipes with friends, but this has given us a little bit more of an excuse to be adventurous and try different things because we want to share new things with you each week. And a lot of the time when you're at home and you're making food, you kind of
you fall into a routine. You make a lot of the same things. We make a ton of stir fries. We make a ton of ton of pasta, a ton of chicken thighs. But yeah, this definitely brings us to a new level. So I just turned the heat off and I actually removed the Dutch oven from the heat. I don't want it to cook anymore because it's perfect right now. So I don't want to overcook that orzo, and because then it's going to get mushy. Any pasta, when you overcook it, it becomes mushy and gummy, if you will.
I'm dipping more bread.
Apparently, it's good.
It's
I don't
good.
know.
This is tasty. Baby's getting a little upset because he wants some bread.
And bring this over to the camera so the folks at home could take a look. Whoa. We got a nice little bot. Almost jambalaya-esque New Orleans-inspired soup. This will taste here. That was a big burp. From the baby, not Sally.
Not from me, baby. It tastes really good. This was a fun one.
Yeah.
This was a good choice.
So we're going bowls.
Yep, we're gonna use the bowls. He's gonna add some jalapenos on top of his for some extra heat. I'm gonna leave them off of mine. Excuse me. You can see like the volume control going way up. But we're so glad. Thank you, Anastasia. That's a really nice compliment to us. We're glad that you enjoy learning these recipes along with us.
We're having just a blast doing this.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun for us. It's something we enjoy, doing, and it's something we would be doing anyway. And it's so funny because this, the red chard that's in there, the stems, they look a little bit like peppers right now. So I was like, I don't remember him putting in peppers, but this is, you could certainly put a bell pepper in this if you wanted to.
Oh, absolutely. You could use that as your base.
These look good. So as always, we will put this recipe on our Instagram page. So please check that out later this evening if you want to see the recipe written out and some photos. And tomorrow, keep an eye out because we're going to be putting a baby food related costume on our page. It will be his debut. You'll get to see his fun costume.
So there we go. New Orleans-inspired pasta soup.
Yeah,
Not
pasta,
really
soup, I don't know, stew, whatever it is.
Stew.
It's great.
I like the stew because it's so thick. It's so
It
hearty.
is thick. All right, so here it is. That's our meal for tonight. Thanks for joining us as always. We appreciate when you come and watch and when you participate in our chat. We really love it. Oh, great, Leah, that's great too. She said it makes her want to learn to cook new things and try new things. So that makes us really happy to hear. And if we can get somebody to make a recipe that we make on here, that's fun for us.
That'd be wonderful.
So enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Halloween. Even in this crazy year, I'm sure that there are things you could do to be festive, even if you're not out trick-or-treating and doing the normal stuff. But put on a good scary movie, make a bowl of popcorn, eat some candy.
Yeah, have a nice little scare.
And have fun. And we'll see you next week on Wednesday.
Yeah.
5 p.m. Eastern Time. We stream 5 on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
So thanks
And
again.
we are pretty much spot on with our hour-long
Yeah, we
episodes,
usually do about an hour of cooking
Yeah.
every time. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care, everyone. Happy Halloween.
Bye, all.